Hello, how are you doing? My name is Joseph Googie. I'm one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, and you are in for another episode of the Pre-PT Grind Chat Live. Every single Thursday night, Casey Coleman and myself come into this group live to share with you about a specific topic that is pertinent to y'all. So tonight's topic is going to be related to people who have been waitlisted or are afraid of what happens after being waitlisted. Our sole purpose as a platform is to help you as a pre-PT get into PT school without wasting time or money. Casey, how you doing tonight, brother?
All good, all good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing fantastic. Man, it's wild to think that tomorrow is already March. Like, it's crazy, huh?
Crazy. Flew by,
Man,
man.
the
Flew
year just
by.
started. Judy, how you doing? Fonzie, how you doing? Perfect, perfect. Thank you, guys. Christina, good to see you here as well. Man, bro, like this year's been flying like crazy, which also means that it's gonna be flying up until the application process opens in July.
hmm
So it's crazy. Simon, how you doing? Aya, how you doing? Good to see all of you. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Let's just dive in. Let's dive in. Tonight's topic. Casey and I have been seeing a lot of questions about what to do after being waitlisted, and that is it's a lot more common than you might think. What do I do? Do I just wait? Do I wait and see what happens? Do I cross my fingers? Do I lose hope? Taylor, how are you doing? Good to see you. Do I lose hope? Do I keep messaging the schools and just asking them where I am on the list? Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And if you've ever asked yourself this question, you don't have to comment below, but if you've ever asked yourself this question, just know that you are in good company. You are in very good company. There are a lot of other pre-PTs who feel the exact same way right now, who are asking the same questions right now. And so tonight, we're going to share with you what we have advised a lot of our students. Debbie, how are you doing? Good to see you. Like what we have advised a lot of our students to do when they have been waitlisted, because being waitlisted does not mean that you've been rejected. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's like the friend zone. Being waitlisted is like being in the friend zone. Being in the friend zone does not mean that you cannot get into, that you won't get accepted unless you stop trying or unless you do the wrong things that can ultimately like cut that connection. So Casey, let's dive into it, man. First of all, what are your thoughts on this topic, bro? Like when if I'm a pre-PT and I'm just like, man, Casey, I worked my tail off. I've been waitlisted to one school, two schools. Sorry, Andy, how you doing? Jessica, good to see you. Like I've been waitlisted to one, two, maybe three programs. Like what should I be doing right now? Because if I've been rejected, then I know it's a done deal. It's a done deal. If you're rejected, it's done. If you've been accepted, phenomenal. But if you've been waitlisted, we don't know. Like most of us as pre-Ps don't know what to do with that middle ground. We have no idea. We're like, yo, like, what do I do? We've been told, like, keep in contact. So all we're doing is messaging and saying, hey, uh, I applied. Any updates? Like, I see this all the time. And it's not to blame pre-PTs. It's just that we don't know. So Casey, what are your thoughts on the topic, man? What are things that we should be looking at, thinking about, and actually doing when we have been waitlisted?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you're going to go into the things that you should be doing. So I'll steer away from that so we don't overlap too much. But I think a lot of times with the wait listing thing and why there's so much anxiety about it and around it is because there's a lack of understanding. There's a huge, huge lack of clarity. There's a huge lack of understanding. There's a huge lack of communication between the pre-PTs and the schools. It's just a lot of gray area. It's kind of like purgatory. I'm not necessarily waitlisted, but I know how you guys feel just not hearing back from anything. So I kind of liken it to purgatory more so than the friend zone. It feels more like that. But there's a lot of lack of understanding. So when you're on the wait list, you are pretty much ranked. Like that, they kind of put, I don't want to say they set things in stone because, these schools out here can really do anything they want. You can talk to any DPT faculty, any department chair, and you can ask them about a school, and they're going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Our school does this, but another school might do this. They'll always say that. So these
Mm.
schools can really do anything they want, aside from having, you know, the basic things that they have to have. But
Yep.
with these rankings, they're kind of already set. Like you already have your rank of how things are on the wait list. So you constantly messaging, you constantly annoying the school, you trying to see how you can move up or down. For some schools that may be the case. Maybe there might be some things you can do to, you know, rank above other students within that time. But for the most part, you are kind of set there from everything I've seen. There might be something else out there that I haven't heard of yet. There might be a few outliers, but from what I've seen, that is kind of already set there. That ranking, that wait list is already set, and how it works is when somebody opts into another school that is ranked ahead of you based on their point system or their percentage system, whatever they use, then that bumps up for the next person and the next person and the next person. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because a lot of times there's a lack of just basic understanding, and that leads to a lot of anxiety and a lot of miscommunication between pre-PTs and each other and us and the schools as well. So just understanding how that works may not necessarily make you feel better about you being waitlisted, but at least you have some sense of what's going on. Just like our patients, myself and Joseph, when we're practicing like we were today, a lot of it is like we probably can't get that patient out of pain today, but at least we can give them a clear understanding. At least we can give them knowledge of what's going on. Then over time, then we can work on the things that they have to do in order to get out of pain, to get into more function, and to get into their daily lives. So with the wait list, I just need that clear understanding from you all right now. They, for the most part, they already have those rankings set. They already have the people they're reaching out to, and how you move up really is how it is when people opt into different schools and choose another path. So for the most part, that's how it works, unless other things happen throughout the years and things change upcoming. But I need you guys to understand that. So that's the first part. Just get some clarity about how it works. Will it make you feel better today? I'm not sure. But today, I just want to make sure that's clear. And the next thing I want to make sure is clear, or the next point, sorry, I want to go into, is what to not do. I'm sure Joseph is going to go into what to do, but what to not do. These are just four real basic things I'm going to rattle off, but don't panic. Don't panic. What's going on, Zach? Thanks for joining. I'll get to your message later on tonight. I've got some things to do later on, but I'll get to your message. Don't panic. Do not panic. It is not the end of the world like Joseph was talking about. It sucks. It's not the best, but again, you're not rejected. So, hey, it's kind of like that meme. I think it's Alonzo Mourning on the bench, and he's like, so it's kind of like that, right? You're not rejected, so it's not the end of the world, so don't panic. Number two, I kind of alluded to this before. Don't annoy the schools. Like I kind of already said, now that you have this clarity, now that you really understand how this works, they can't, like, some schools may be able to bump you up, but if it's already set in stone, you annoying the schools is not really going to do anything. It's just going to make them more annoyed. So don't annoy the schools. Number three is don't be too passive. I'm sure Joseph is going to go into that, but don't be too passive. I know there's not too much we can do to boost up, but there's still things you can do. And lastly is don't lose hope. Don't lose hope. Two of my classmates, one was accepted a week before the class started, and another one was accepted, I think, like 3 to 5 days into the start of the semester. There's a couple other students we know pretty closely who were accepted pretty close to the start of matriculation as well. So those are the big four for me, as well as understanding and having that clarity of how a waitlist works. Is don't panic, don't annoy the schools, don't be too passive, and four, don't lose hope. But what you got, Joseph?
Well, yeah, no, I completely agree. For the most part, it is set in stone. There are still things you can do though. So let me tell y'all a story. Last summer, there was a student who we were coaching. Can you be waitlisted with early decision?
You got it.
You got it.
So early decision, they will have to, there's a certain date. It's usually September 15th that they have to give you an answer. Then if you're not accepted in that early decision, then you're moved into regular decision. Yeah. So that's how it works.
Yep. And so there are some things that you're not going to change your ranking, like in general. Now, the other thing though is this can be a very slippery slope. So I want y'all to be very careful with how you navigate this. Casey was talking about not being passive, which means that even when you are waitlisted, the first thing is one, yeah, like you don't want to just say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Let me just like chill and cross my fingers and hope it'll happen. Let me tell y'all a
Mm-hmm.
quick story. Last summer, there was there was a pre-PT that worked at my clinic, worked front desk, and they were freaking out. I mean, I think at this point we were about 3.5 weeks, sorry, 4 weeks before the PT class for the school that they were waiting for, the school that they had been waitlisted for. They were about 4 weeks out from that program starting, and they were like, what am I supposed to do now? What most people would do is they'd be like, well, it's too late. It's too late. At this point, I should just give up and get ready for the application cycle, which this student was preparing for. But they asked me, they were like, is there anything I could do? I was like, well, of course, of course. Like, here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is really with absolutely anything. If y'all heard me like or Casey in any live stream where we're talking about what to do before and after, and to our students, we were talking about this last night. It's relationships, right? And it's a human to human interaction. You're dealing with humans. And even though we're dealing with an academic formula where they do have a ranking system, there are times, I'm telling y'all this right now, like Casey's right. However, there are still times where programs will say, you know what, that student right there deserves to be here. And last summer that happened. This student actually like sent out, like I told them what to say. They started a conversation with, yeah, you got it, Aya. Like they started a conversation with one of the faculty members, but it wasn't the typical, hey, I applied, I've been waiting. Have you guys returned anything? What's my ranking? No, no, no. It was nothing like that. This student actually went and researched the program even more. This student went and researched the person that she was emailing even more. And in that email, she started inquiring more about that person, more about the program, questions that she wasn't just gonna find on the website. Because some of y'all be just going to the website and be like, oh, okay, so what are your prerequisites? Like it's on the website. Stop asking questions that are already readily available to you. But when you go in, it's like any conversation, like any relationship. If I'm meeting Casey for the first time and I research the fact that he's from Chicago, I research the fact that he went to Andrews University, I research the fact that he plays drums, my conversation isn't going to be, do you play any instruments? My conversation is going to be like, bro, like how many years have you played the drums? Like I saw that you were playing at such and such a spot in Chicago. That's amazing, man. Tell me a little bit. Like that speeds up the relationship. So what happened with this student is when they started this conversation around that time. Now this is not going to happen all the time, but I'm telling y'all how powerful it is to still stay connected. But we're going to talk about how to do it the right way, not bombarding schools with the wrong way of doing it. But there was a student that actually dropped out of that program, a student that had chosen a different program. And in the response email, the faculty member acknowledged, all the questions, answered them, and said, you know what, it's funny. After this student, like, after this student left our program, you were the first email that came in. So we didn't even bother going to look back at our list.
Mm.
Would you be free for another interview on Friday? I remember her telling me this. She's in my
Mm-hmm.
clinic. She's like, "Are you free for another interview on Friday?" Well, she was like, "Well, yeah." Like, I mean, she was like, "Of course." Like, she's like, she's geeking out, and she's like, "Oh my goodness!" Like, but she didn't want to get ahead of herself because at this point she was like, "I don't want to get too excited and then like get rejected." So she we prepped for the interview. She went in, she crushed it. Midway through the next week, we were at the clinic. She gets notified that she got accepted into that program a few weeks before school started. Like at this point, she's like having to figure out like she was like planning on moving back out of state. She was planning on leaving Florida and moving to Chicago at that time. And so now like last minute she's like planning, okay, like how am I gonna do things? Okay, I gotta stay here. I gotta do like but she was like she was still like everything was kind of crazy because so many things were moving at the last minute, but at the same time she was like, yo, this is what I've wanted. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I've wanted. And right now, she's finishing her first year in PT school as we speak, right now. She's finishing her first year in PT school, but because she focused on the relationship aspect. So what y'all need to do is this. One, like Casey was saying, yes, do not panic at all. Number two, yes, there is a ranking system. So if you're number 75 out of all the chances you're low on there. But the thing is, most schools won't even tell you where you're ranked. So most of the times we assume the worst and do nothing about it. Y'all realize that if she did nothing about it, she would be applying with y'all this, like, she would have been applying this past cycle again. If she was passive, she would have had to reapply. So you cannot be passive at all. But what I need y'all to do is I need you guys to invest in the programs that you guys are applying to. I need you to invest in the people that you are, like, literally, I was on a phone with another pre-PT today who's like researching professors, like what they're doing, their research, any research, projects that they have done, and all just all the little ins and outs, and they're using that for conversation in the same way that you would do that with any relationship. In the same way that I would do that with Casey, with him in drumming in Chicago and in Andrews University. It gives me, it literally gives the recipient, like, it allows the recipient to know that I have already invested in them. So my questioning is not just to have a pseudo conversation. No. Like, I've already researched you, and I'm coming to you specifically to find out more because I'm interested. So whether I get accepted or rejected or put on waitlist, it doesn't really matter. I should still be developing relationships. Because honestly, I have seen relationships like that. And I'm not telling y'all this is the only thing. Man, if this was the only thing, then this would be a piece of cake. But what I am telling you is that this is the glue to your application. Your ability to build relationships is directly correlated with how good of an applicant you're going to be. With the quality, with the quality of, relationships that you're going to have, that's going to translate into how you do when you go to your interview. The amount of conversations you would have had beforehand with that faculty member, with students that have gone there, because you're so invested in what's going on. Like, think about what you come with to the table. But even afterwards, even after you've been told, man, like, I haven't gotten in. Well, like, if you just wait for it, then yeah, we can't control what we, like, you can only control what you can control. And in that situation, there's only one thing you can control: your ability to maintain a relationship. Most of you don't know how to do that properly, though. Most of you do that by just sending emails that more or less spam and annoy the mess out of professors, because you're just frantic. You're freaking out. You're panicking. Don't panic. Calm down. Calm down. Treat it as if it was any relationship. Honestly, whether you get accepted or not, that relationship's going to take you a long way. Because even if I get waitlisted this year, that relationship alone will be my acceptance letter the next year round. But if you do it passively, you have no control over that. So what that means is you got to start, like, researching the programs, researching the people. Send an email that's talking about them. Don't say, hey, I applied, I this, I that. Like, it doesn't matter. Every other student's doing that anyway. So you might as well find some way to stand out still. Ask about them. Be like, man, I was actually sorry. I'm a recent applicant to your program, but I'm actually writing to you right now to ask about such and such a project that I saw was done a few weeks ago at your program. I actually saw it on your social media page. And I saw that you were the one in charge. I saw a picture of you and the other students. I'd love to hear more about it because, like, I love, like outreach. It reminds me of a project that I mean, come on, like, conversation. Y'all see how what I just did there? All I did there is I just showed that I had already invested in them. I had already invested in that person. And now the likelihood of them wanting to start a relationship, well, to at least converse back with me, heightens. If I send them an email that's just saying, hey, it's been 2 months since I applied, I haven't heard anything, just wanted to make sure everything was good, well, that annoys them. And that's what the other 200, 300, 400 other pre-PTs are doing. So really, that's not helping you stand out, and that's not helping your case. So if there's one thing that you can do, is the 4 things that Casey told you to do, but also understand. Understand how to build relationships. Understand how to invest in other people. how to use that. And honestly, if it's written, amazing. If you have the opportunity to do that in person, I've seen students go to open houses after getting waitlisted, which is beautiful. But they still do it wrong. They go in and they show their face. Yeah, I recently applied. I got waitlisted. Just wanted to kind of see. Yeah, okay, cool. A lot of people are doing that. But the ones that go in and they invest time and they start conversation. The thing is, those things go a long way. When Casey's class was getting, when Casey's class was applying to PT school, and I used to be in the classroom where, because I was a class president for all 3 years for my PT program. The class president and vice president get the opportunity to sit inside of the room where they decide which students are coming to the program. I literally saw teachers fighting for students. Teachers who had interviewed certain students, I saw them fighting for them because they saw something that was not necessarily like like it didn't compute numerically, like it wasn't factored in, based on GPA, GR. There were certain aspects that went a long way, and that's what I'm saying. The more y'all can stand out as applicants, the better. But I remember students that were really shouldn't have been in that class of 40. For us, it's anywhere between 38 and 40 students in our program. Shouldn't have really been in that bracket based on where all their numbers were. But then the teacher that interviewed them, or the teachers that had been emailing them or relating with them, say, "Hey, actually, this is what this is what this student's about." I actually remember their interview. This is the vibe I got. This is what I heard. I've actually been talking to this student for the last 3.5 months, and this is what they have been, telling me about or talking to me about. And you're not doing this. And if you guys are talking to professors and stuff like that, like you like do it like once every like 2 or 3 weeks. Like don't be so like frequent about it, but do it conversationally, where you are showing a lot more interest in them than you pushing your own agenda, as in like you pushing your own accomplishments. That's not getting you anywhere, especially when you're waitlisted. So invest, honestly, when you are waitlisted, that is the moment that you should double down on the programs even more. What are they about? Find out more about them and use that to develop as many relationships as possible. That's what got that student in. They could have gotten in a year later, but because they did that, they're going to be a DPT in 2 years. So what are you going to do when you get waitlisted? If you're waitlisted, if you get rejected, and things are not going your way, don't freak out. Too many students pull the plug because they let those moments define who they think they are. In those moments, you tell yourself that, you know what, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I don't deserve to be a physical therapist. Maybe I don't have the qualifications. You know what? All my classmates that got in, they always were ahead of me in every single thing. So you start to create this false reality in your head that convinces you that you are not qualified to be a doctor of physical therapy student. And that is absolutely false. If you are watching this stream right now, if you are listening to this when it is a podcast episode, if you are watching this on YouTube as we speak, it doesn't matter. If you are doing that right now, then you have already shown that you are ready to find out and learn as much as possible to give you the leverage to become a doctor of physical therapy. And if you're doing that, you're already setting yourself apart from most other pre-PTs who are just kind of riding this thing and seeing what happens on the other side. Not sure if they really want it. So do you deserve to be a DPT? Well, I sure believe you do, but you have to start believing it as well. And if you get waitlisted, you can't panic. You can't panic. If you get rejected, you cannot panic. And if you start panicking, or if you're like, I really still don't know what to do next, well, contact us. Like, send us a message. Go to contactpreptgrind.com. Ask for one of us. Ask for Casey or myself. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's break it down, because honestly, in the last 2 to 3 years, I have seen lots of students come out of being waitlisted and crushing it and getting accepted to multiple students. I've seen students get rejected 2 years in a row and ultimately get accepted into their dream schools. I have seen students who have gotten in their own head because they're comparing themselves to other students that have gone ahead of them, other students that were in the same class as them, other students that they felt were more qualified, and then they also got into their own they also got into PT programs. Zach, PT is yours, man. Like PT is yours. Go get it. Like we're not doing this for our own health. Casey and I are already physical therapists. We wouldn't be doing this if we did not earnestly believe it. But we're seeing it every single year, every single day. Students that are like the thing is, it's all about your exposure. I remember last night, like when we had our season 4 for the acceptance system, like we have students in there that were just freaking out about certain things, and we were kind of pushing them because they started to trust us, they're starting to trust each other, and they're literally like becoming each other's you know, like anchors. Like they are holding each other up, and they're seeing that they actually are qualified. They are like PT qualified. One of the things, this is literally what we have our students in the acceptance system believe. We tell them that they are resilient. They say that to themselves. They say, I am resilient. I am driven. They are claiming the qualities that they want to embody. They say, I do not entertain quitting. That means you don't entertain quitting when you are waitlisted. That means you don't entertain quitting when you are rejected. That means you don't entertain quitting when you have failed out of a class during a semester. They say, I am not my GPA. I am PT qualified. Y'all got to start believing that. I am PT qualified. I am the 12K. So they call themselves the 12K Nation, which roughly there's just close to 12,000 students to get accepted into PT school every year. So our community, the acceptance system is the 12K Nation. But for you, it's the same thing. You have to believe it. Yeah, what even is quitting? What is quitting? So you have to believe it. You have to. You have to. And if you don't believe it, you got to find somebody that's willing to believe hard enough for you. Honestly, we believe it for you. And if you need to hear it from us personally, message us right now. Go to contact3ptgrind.com. I don't care if you listen to this on a podcast. I don't care if you listen to this right now live. I don't care if you're watching this on replay. I don't care if you're watching this on YouTube. I really don't care where you're watching this from right now. Go to contact3ptgrind.com. Say, hey, I need someone to talk to me. Like, I feel like I don't know what to do next. I'm freaking out. I'm getting in my own head. And the honest truth is, you have to stop. Like, those thoughts have to become like an outside factor. You have to see yourself outside of those temporary defeats. Does that make sense? Brenton, you got it. It doesn't exist. Quitting doesn't exist. If you're locked up to becoming a physical therapist, well, honestly, you better hold on, because your ride's going to be a little different from every single person on here. You might have to apply to 7 schools and get rejected at 6 of them to get into one. You might get accepted to 6 programs and get rejected to one. I don't care. You might get waitlisted on all of them. I don't really care. But your journey is different from everybody else. So stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop letting these moments define you. Stop letting these moments get you all in your head where you're starting to freak out. And come on. If you're here, you're going to be a physical therapist. Just accept it. Honestly, like what I told the students that we coached, I said, y'all got to start imagining there's an acceptance letter waiting for you. Like somebody already has your acceptance letter in an envelope. They already licked the envelope. They sealed that joint, and they have it like set up somewhere nice where it won't get creased, and it's waiting for you. It has your name on it. It's waiting for you. You just have to hold on long enough. You have to build more relationships. You have to get the right guidance, the right coaching. If that's us, fantastic. Send them a message. Let's talk about it. You have to put yourself in an environment where you just believe that the qualities that you already possess are really your qualities. Y'all didn't come this far to only come this far. So let's lock in. Waitlist, rejection, bad grades. Let's get into PT school, y'all. Send us a message at contact3ptgrind.com. Y'all have an amazing rest of your Thursday night. Let's freaking get it. We're honestly really proud of y'all for pushing through. Honestly, we know it's hard. Like, don't let this hype deceive you. We know it's painful. We know it's hard. Like, trust me on that. But we also know what's on the other side of it. We're living it right now. And if this is what you want, then hold on long enough to actually get it. Y'all have a good night.